Hi, today we are going to build wheels and install tires. I've got some tips and tools that make wheel building a lot easier, and I've got some understanding and knowledge that can make tire changes a lot simpler too. So let's get started. So we've got our spokes and our tools, our rim, hub. I want to show you a couple of tools that I use for wheel building. This little pokey guy works pretty well. If you stick a spoke on the end, it's kind of a friction fit, and that helps you get nipples inside the rim if there's a deeper rim. I've also got this screwdriver that I notched and made work as a nipple screwdriver. And having the right tools is great. I want to show you how to make a tool that I use pretty frequently for wheel building. Get an old spoke and a set of needle nose pliers, about maybe 4 inches from the threaded end. Make a 90-degree bend. And then just take your needle nose and wrap the spoke around the jaws. This is just a way to make a handle. You'll see when it's done. You don't necessarily need to do this, but I think it's nice to hang on to, and it works out pretty well. And then pop the needle nose out and clip the end off. When you're done clipping the end, you're going to want to fold that cut piece inside so the sharp edge isn't sticking out and can cut you or snag your skin. So give it a little tweak and bend it toward the inside. And then get a spoke nipple and put it on backwards, not the normal way, but reverse, so that the spoke is facing the opposite side. And then I like to tighten it on using my spoke tool. Make it so you've got about 2 or 3 threads sticking out the bottom of the tool, and now you can use it to engage spoke nipples into a deep dish rim or something like that. It's a nice little tool. I also like to use this tool when I'm lubricating the nipple bed inside the rim. So it's nice to have lubricant for the nipples to spin on inside the rim. They're brass nipples, so they spin pretty freely, but a little grease helps a lot too. So I use the tool, put a little grease on it, and then just kind of dab it on the bed inside the rim. And I'll go around and complete the whole wheel this way. We bike nerds are pretty particular about certain things. One of those things is getting the label of your hub to line up with the valve hole. So when you peek through a valve hole of a built wheel, you should see the logo of the hub through the hole. It doesn't make the bike ride any better, it doesn't make the bike any faster or lighter, but it does show the person that built the wheels cared enough to take the time to do it right. So I think it's important to do. The way that I line up my labels is for a 3-cross wheel like this, I'll find the center of what I want to see through the valve hole, and I'll count off 4 spokes to the left. And that gives me the starting point for my key spoke that's going to go to the left of the valve hole on the rim. So I build wheels in quarters at a time, 1 quarter, the other quarter, the 3rd quarter, and the 4th quarter. Here I'm dropping in my 2nd quarter, and what I'm doing is setting up the 2nd quarter so that when I lace up the wheel this way, I get it ready for its twist, and you'll see that coming up next. The spoke direction keeps the valve area open, so when I want to inflate my tire, I've got the most clearance to get access to the air valve for the tube. So I'm winding the spokes up this way, and then I'm going to be ready to get my 3rd quarter of spokes into the wheel. And I'm doing my 3-cross pattern here. So cross 1, cross 2, and then we weave the 3rd cross in behind the last spoke and get it to its spot. This is where that nipple holder comes in really handy, because the spokes are starting to get a little bit tighter. There's a little less access. If I use this tool to get the nipple in place, it makes that final push a lot easier without ending up losing the nipples inside the rim, because we've all done that way too many times. So this tool really helps out a lot. There is a company that makes a special nipple holder. The company is called Efficient Velo Tools in Portland, Oregon. My friend and mentor, Brett Fleming, started that company. and he's got a tool called the mulfinger that does just this, and it does it better than the tool that I'm showing here. It's got a special taper that fits spokes perfectly, and it's if you're doing a lot of wheel building, it's well worth the investment. And you're also supporting an American-made tool company, which is great. All right, we've got the 4 quarters of the wheel built. Everything is assembled at this point. There's no tension, and now we bring the trimming stand out, and we're going to start tensioning the wheel. So just a quick pass to see where we're at. You can see we've got a pretty good hop up and down. Things aren't necessarily straight side to side. One of the key things about wheels to give them extra strength and longevity is to take care of this little gap that happens between the spoke and the flange, this point right here. If we can minimize the amount of distance there and give the spoke some more support, it really helps a lot. So I use a screwdriver here and just kind of tweak the spoke over to let it rest on the flange. It will eventually find its path. What I'm doing is shortcutting that by giving it a little help getting there quicker. When you're trimming wheels, the key thing here is small adjustments. We don't do more than a quarter, maybe a half a turn at a time, paying attention to the whole wheel, taking care of the up and down and the right and left. And eventually we get to a spot where we're in a pretty good tolerance for a 1973 Schwinn. Here you can peek down inside the valve hole and see the label that says Alfine. That's just the way what I was shooting for. So when installing tires, there's a couple things that help out a lot. You really want to avoid using a tire lever to install if you can. The other thing is using a dry lube like a powder inside the tire really helps a lot. The tube and the tire are both rubber and they want to stick together. So if you dust the inside of your tire with some talc or baby powder, that'll help give the tube a little something to move around on. It really helps position it where you want to a lot better. Once I've powdered the tire, I inflate the tube just enough to give it some shape and then install it inside the tire. This is where you want to line up your valve with the center of the label. It's another step that just shows that you care about what you're doing. It also helps identify where flats come from a little easier. If you get a puncture, you can remove your tube, inflate it, find the hole, and then find the corresponding spot in the tire where that hole came from and make sure that either the piece of glass or debris is out of the tire before you reinstall a new tube. So looking at the rim, you can see that the center part of the rim dips down in the middle. And if you think about the diameter of the circles in the rim, the center part of the rim is the smallest diameter circle. And the tire has 2 beads that sit on the outside shoulder where the diameter is a little bit larger. So to install the tire, this is the other secret, is you want to make sure that the bead of the tire is sitting in the center of the rim before you get that last part of the tire over. You shouldn't need to use a tire lever to install a tire. Anytime you grab a tire lever to push that last little bit over, you're running the risk of pinching the tube between the rim and the tire lever, so avoid it if you can. This particular combination of this Velo Orange rim and this Pan Racer tire were incredibly tight, but I was able to get it on without needing a tire lever. So I'm getting the first bead on and just making sure it's centered all the way around the rim, and that gives me just enough room to pull over the last part of the bead onto the center of the rim. So once that's done, I'm going to move it over and start on the second bead. I like to start my install at the valve side because it gives me a little more room to finish opposite the valve. The valve being a little bit wider, it creates a little more tightness in that part of the tire, so I like to finish opposite the valve. So what I'm doing here is kind of getting the tube in the middle, making sure that the bead is centered. You're going to see me go around and pinch the tire to make sure that it's in the middle of the rim. That's just getting the bead all the way over. Again, where the valve is, I don't have a lot of room, so if you push the valve up, you get a little extra room there too. Unfortunately, the final part of this install didn't come through in the video. I need a wide angle lens. I don't have a wide enough angle lens for it, but it was very, very tight, but I was able to pop it over without needing tools. You have to take my word for it. And now we can put our new wheels and tires on that cool old frame and it starts to look like a bike. All right, I'm getting excited to see this thing come together. The wheels are a big part of that. Now you can see what it's starting to look like. I also threw in the Velo orange handlebar to get a sense for the shape, but I think the wheels came out great. Really looking forward to starting to put all the other parts on when we get together next time. So check out the next video. I'll be doing a full assembly and starting in on some of the parts for the rack. I'll be brazing some braze-ons onto the fork, so that should be fun. Thanks for watching.